Hi, everyone. You're just going to get me today. We are talking about the blueprint for Instagram stories and highlights. I'm going to switch over my screen really quick and we're going to kind of dive into that and get started. Welcome. Pull up a chair, grab a notebook, a pencil, and be ready to take some notes. So here we go. All right. Present this. All right. So today is the blueprint for Instagram stories and highlights. We're going to talk about the who, the what, the why, the where, the how, all of that. And just, what are stories and highlights and the differences between those and posts and what should be in your stories, what should be saved to your highlights and all of that good stuff. The questions are endless on this stuff and it changes all the time. But I'll tell you that the research that we did for this particular class, I just took notes until I watched different things, read different things, put together my own little outline, and then there were no more notes to take. So if I watched a YouTube or read a blog and everything in that was something that I'd already gotten into my notes, then I was like, all right, I feel like I can move on. So this class is probably my favorite. I actually learned some things in researching this that really helped me as well. So I am excited for you to learn this information. All right, let's get started. So the what. What is a story? Posts on your Instagram are about client winning. The reason why I say that is because posts tend to be a little bit more polished, a little bit more put together. Posts are obviously what's on your news feed. And when you're, at a DOTS meeting or a networking meeting or something, and you go to someone and you're like, yeah, follow me on Instagram. This class is really supposed to really help you be really confident about asking someone to follow you on Instagram. So many times when I'm in a networking class or a networking group, people will say, oh, but yes, I'm on social media, but I haven't been there in a while. I've been so busy, or they just start kind of backpedaling and giving excuses. And Instagram stories and highlights this whole class is about really knowing what to post there and making it easy on yourself on what to save so that you can put your best foot forward. But your posts are what's existing that's there when a client is, or a prospect or a new friend or whatever, you send them to your Instagram. That feed is full of what should be a little bit more polished posts about you and what it is that you do. So again, both your personal and your business bucket. And it's what people see when they're first like stalking you to see if they want to do business with you. So posts that are on your feed are really about winning over new clients, being the billboard online for what people see. Stories are about client keeping. So I say that because stories by nature, all right, they're stories. So stories are personal, right? We talk about stories around the campfire. Oh, that's a story my grandmother told, or whatever. Just the word stories seems more intimate. Little kids sitting around in a circle listening to a story. It's engaging. Okay. It's engaging the people that are already there. Plus, stories and the way they work with Instagram is first of all, they disappear after 24 hours. So the people that are closest to you are going to see them, right? So the people who are following you will see your stories. People who are not following your account, the only way that they see your stories isn't through a little feed at the top of their screen where it's all those little circles. The only reason why they would see your stories is if they went to your public facing Instagram creator account or business account and it was public, right? You don't have a private account and they can go and see your story then, but it's not going to show up as a story for them to watch in their newsfeed unless they're already following you. So stories are for client keeping. Okay. So stories last 24 hours and they speak to your existing followers. Why that's important. Well, not so much for me. Anybody that knows me said, I meet someone at the grocery store, they're my best friend. They know everything about me. But for the most part, you talk to someone that you already know a little bit differently than you talk to a brand new person. Existing followers have already like raised their hand online and said, yes, I am picking up what you're laying down. I bought a ticket to the show. I'm here for that. Give it to me. Right. So existing followers are already there. They've already had a degree of buy-in. And now it's about building that relationship with them, nurturing it and maintaining it. They last for 24 hours, which gives them a sense of they're going to go away. Right. Kind of like jack-o'-lanterns. Stories are like jack-o'-lanterns. They're personal and they go away. Those little guys will rot in no time at all. So stories, they also go away in no time at all. So they're kind of like art that doesn't last forever, like the Mona Lisa or whatever. But stories are very personal, and each one of those little jack-o'-lanterns has its own personal style, its own personal face. It was done by, let's just say, a family of 5 like mine, and every one of us would have a different look. And so will your stories. Stories are like snowmen. Again, cute, fun, entertaining, seasonal, even just like the jack-o'-lanterns. Stories are in the moment and they disappear, but they are fun. And everybody loves to see a snowman in a yard. Everybody loves to see a jack-o'-lantern on a porch. But again, they go away. So if you don't see it when it's there, then it's gone a little while later. All right. And stories are like butter sculptures. They're short-lived, which we've kind of already said multiple times. Butter sculptures are not meant to last forever, and neither are stories. So there's that. Stories go away. That is the number one takeaway from that. And they need to be uniquely you. Why? Why do we have stories? Well, 62% of consumers said that they become interested in products after watching stories. Now, this is very important because this is also the same with Reels and TikToks. They like to see things that are entertaining and engaging. And so a lot of times on stories, you might have a series of stories where it shows a problem and then it shows the solution and then it says buy it now, right? So this thing I saw on stories and I had to go look it up because of course I couldn't find it because it went away after 24 hours. But I thought, oh my gosh, I have to find that cat carrier and put that on here because I'm a little weirdo and I would probably try to stuff my cat in that. They would not like it, but I would try. So 62% of customers become curious about products after watching them or seeing them on Instagram stories. 200 million people look at stories every single day. So think about that. There's 200 million people and they're looking at stories. And I'll admit, I am not one of them. I don't look at stories. I don't even have the brain capacity to stop what I'm doing and go watch stories. But I will tell you, literally all of my friends do. They're always like, oh, did you see her story yesterday? I'm like, no, I did not. I did not see that story. So just because you don't watch stories doesn't mean other people aren't. And one thing I like about stories, I'm not sure if I talk about in here, is I can see who's seen my story. I can't see who has seen my posts. It'll say it reached so many people, but I don't know who that is. And if you look at your stories long enough, if you start to, first of all, do stories, you can swipe up and you can see who's seen them, and you'll find that time after time after time, the same like 62 people are seeing them because they're following you, they're actively engaged with your account, and that is their habit. That's something that they enjoy doing. Almost like people sit down and watch Netflix or whatever it is, play video games, they watch stories. People watch because they have a fear of missing out. They know that it's going to go away in 24 hours. And if they don't watch it, they're getting content that no one else gets to see. They have a kind of a now or never mentality with the stories. And when you're producing them, you can look at it one or two ways. I always used to look at stories as, well, if it's just going to go away after 24 hours, why would I want to waste my time doing it? But I will tell you that back in the Reels class, I make stories all day long because I'm sitting there and I'm literally, this is my remote control, but I'm like filming little crap and like my desk, and I might film myself do this. I might do a screenshot of me on, whatever. I might do a series of stories. I'm filming them within stories and posting them, but it's also saving to my camera roll so I can make a reel about my day later. So I kill two birds with one stone. So I am not, when I film within the stories platform, I'm not doubling my efforts. I'm killing two birds with one stone. So I'm hitting those people that are in stories watching me all day long. And then I string that together. I make a reel. I have it post to my feed. And I'm hitting the people that only pop in every once in a while, because those people that pop in every once in a while, they are going to see my stories. So I might string together some of them to make the reel so that it lasts forever. So that's also fun. Just to add a little bit of more intrigue to this, when you share a reel back to your story, that story is not, that reel is not only being seen on your news feed, on your Reels feed, now it's being seen in your story, right? And then you can save that story to a highlight. So it comes like full circle. And there are certain reasons why you would want to do that. It's a couple of extra steps, but it's just moving that content along the platform in different formats so that it gets extra screen time and a better chance of being seen. And people watch because stories tend to be entertaining. I don't put a lot of thought into my stories. I spend a lot more time polishing the reel at the end of the day than I do the little stories along the way. And obviously, reels have shorter clips in them. So a story might be a whole 15 seconds of my cat, whereas the reel might just be my cat looking at the screen, like a little boomerang of that. So they get the whole shebang in stories versus the reel. Freedom to be the real you that no one but your family sees. I think that the 24 hours thing is actually so, so awesome, because if I screw up or I'm being stupid or I'm like, dancing or whatever it is, I know in my head that that's going to go away after 24 hours. So I just try things out. I test it in my stories. This particular picture I think is hilarious. One of our other friends was taking it, and obviously they weren't ready, but it's my favorite picture with the pumpkins this year. So I put that in my stories. The who it's for you. Every person in this class right now, this was a class that I was teaching a while back, but every person in this class needs to be doing stories. Stories are kind of like a Christmas tree. Let's think of a Christmas tree. The tree itself is Instagram. You can put the lights on there. That's important. The lights go first. You can't put the lights on last. The lights go on first, and those are your posts, right? Those are your posts on your feed. Those are the lights. Regular old posts. The ornaments are your stories. Bows might be your highlights, and the star on top might be reels. Okay. So those added layers, yeah, you can have a tree with just lights. You could have just a tree and no posts, but literally no one's going to look at that. But if it has lights, it's like, ooh, it attracts your attention. If it has all the baubles and bows, then it's the whole shebang. And everybody loves one of those over the top trees. So you need to be doing stories in order to up your game on Instagram, but more so not up your time on Instagram, but up the time that people are watching you on Instagram. There's a formula called 7-4-11 by Daniel Priestley. Y'all have heard me talk about this many times. 7-4-11 formula is the formula to turn a follower into a friend. And the way that you move just a plain follower on Instagram or in any social media, actually, any setting whatsoever, into the friend category is you have to have 7 hours of content in 4 different locations. That could be digital locations. We'll talk about that in a second. And you have to have 11 different interactions. So the way Daniel Priestley explained this is that over time, people will consume content from you or time with you or watch you or talk to you or email you or message you or watch your reels or listen to your classes or see you at a networking group or listen to you speak on stage, whatever it is. Over time, after they have spent 7 hours of time consuming your content, over 11 different interactions and at 4 different locations, that is the formula to move someone from a follower to a friend. Now, there's a whole book on that, and there's a big long, but that is the Cliffs Notes version, the Brooklyn Cliffs Notes version of that. And when you have stories, you have highlights, you have your news feed, and not only do you have stagnant pictures, but you also have reels. That's essentially 4 different locations within one platform. And it can be the same content, but it's just shared in a different way in all those 4 spots. So it counts. It really counts. And I'm all about repurposing content instead of recreating it. So the how, let's talk about that. How do I get to my stories? This is a pretty basic one, but just in case you're like, I don't even know how to get to that. Let's talk about that. You first click the plus sign. It's in the top corner of your profile. You'll click on your face and then the content from stories or a camera roll. So let me show you the screenshots from that. That's just basically the steps. So you see our faces right there in the top left-hand corner with the blue plus sign. That's how you get to stories. Or you can go up to the plus sign in the top right-hand corner. And once you click that, either one of those, whenever you click either plus sign, it will take you to this, and you click on the camera and you can film or create that content right inside of stories. Or notice you can take any of those other pictures and click that and add that to your story. So you can select something from your existing camera roll, or you can record something new. When you do create in stories, the next step, so again, you click one of those plus signs, come to this screen, you click the camera, then this is what you see. This is the screen of your Instagram stories when you click the camera. That white button right there, you hold it down and it starts to do a little purple line around it. It'll do that in 15 seconds. A little box will pop up, and then it'll keep going for 15 more seconds and another box will pop up. Then another 15 seconds and another. So it'll go a maximum of 60 seconds over 4 different stories. 4 stories are 15 seconds long each. But if I'm talking and I'm saying something for, 60 seconds or even 55 seconds, then it'll just keep going. And then it'll make me stop mid-sentence. And I'll have to post it, then go back into stories and pick up right where I left off. So holding that button down is important. The reason I like to record in stories, remember, is because I post to stories. So it's on stories as individual stories. Then I take all those that have also saved to my camera roll, string them together, and make a short little cute reel at the end of the day. Then I take that reel and I share it back to stories. So I have all my stories individually. I use it to make my reel. Then I share my reel back to my stories as well. So, and that's just a click. That's it. That's all you have to do. And it's just getting your content around. Remember, there's people that are watching your stories and there's people that watch your news feed. And then there are people that are scrolling reels. And Instagram will feature your reel if it's really engaging. They'll choose reels to feature on the feature page to the people that are looking for the things that you do. So break down listing into bite-sized stories. This particular story right here, I'm going to click off and go to Canva, but I created it in Canva. And let's say you're in real estate. Stories are short snips. Yes, you can totally be businessy in your stories. That's not a problem. You can also be unpolished and like behind the scenes. You can be all of those things in stories. But remember, stories is just another billboard with a different set of eyes that are watching those that don't look at your newsfeed. So a ton of the people who watch stories don't look at newsfeed. So if you don't put it in there too, then they might not ever see it. So this particular one says that this listing's in Frisco, Texas. It has my fictitious little logo in the top right hand corner, the price of what it is. So I can automatically say it's in my price range or it's not. And it has two pictures of two very important rooms, the living room and the kitchen. So I figured, why not? Those are important pictures. This is actually a template in Canva called Instagram Stories. So let me get out of here and show you what that looks like. All right. So when you get to Canva right here, you can search your Canva or the content on Canva. So I have lots of, presentations that we've made over time, but I'm just going to search Instagram stories. All right. Every single one of these templates is something that you can drag and drop pictures into. And I will just show you that I got that one down somewhere right here. This is a good this or that. But all of these would be great stories. This one right here, very businessy. We have a class coming up called Level Up Your Instagram. And so I'm going to just show you how simple this is. PM November 22. Level up your Canva. Okay, so next. All right, so you can see that's it. That's all I'm going to do, except I can go back here and I can change the color. And I can also go over here to uploads and I can put in a picture. Let's find a funny one. Hold on. Let's do this one. Now I'm going to go here and replace the background. And then let's go. There you go. Now I actually, what I need to do is take that off. There we go. And then edit image. I wonder if I can make that go to the back. Anyways, you can take this and position this or make it dark so that it shows up better. Whatever you want to do. But you can see that now I've made this image. I would obviously tweak this some more, make it all the right colors so that you can see it. And then I would just go here to share, download, save it as a JPEG, download that. And then now I have that image to share on my Instagram about this class. And maybe I want to just duplicate it. All I did was click this plus plus sign. It duplicated it down here. And let me take my picture off of there. And let's do this one. And I'm going to make that the background image. And make it transparent so it's not so hard to see. And that might be my next one. And then I might want to duplicate it and so on and so forth. So I can have a bunch of really nice styled stories to save and post over time so that I have my businessy ones already created based on what I have coming up or what listings I have to sell. And I can put little bits of information because, again, stories are quick and there's a whole different slew of people seeing your stories than are actually seeing your newsfeed. So I hope that helped a little bit. Let's go back over here. I'm going to present again. All right, so you want to break down your listings or break down your business bucket, your work bucket into bite-sized bits into your stories. Again, this listing has a lot, how many bedrooms, whether it's upstairs, downstairs, what street it's on, you know, the age of the house, all of that. But again, you don't need all that content in one story. You would spread it out over time. Use polls for engagement. The more you use Instagram tools that they have taken the time to create for us, the more Instagram rewards you for being an avid user of their platform. So, excuse me. So this girl right here, she is really good at this. This was actually a video of her and she's going like this and it's like a boomerang and it says me rewatching my own story for the 40th time today. Sometimes our own stories, we go back and we're trying to see if they're performing or if we can see anything we messed up on, but I know I'm guilty of that too. So when I saw this, I clearly clicked yes. This whole poll, yes and nope, that is a customizable sticker inside of Instagram, inside the stories platform. And if you drag and drop it down onto the picture and people click on it, that counts as engagement. The more engaging your account, the more Instagram lets people see it. So use those stickers. The questions. Your thoughts. Okay, so what she says here, she's talking about Instagram dying. And quite frankly, none of these platforms are dying. They're just changing. So the way that we used them before, that's dead. But there's a whole new way, which is why I guess people find social media so maddening. And for me, it's why I think it's so exhilarating. So lucky for you, you have me. So Instagram, she asked a very, very controversial question. And she put 2 stickers in there. She put the question up there and said yes or no. And of course I clicked. And then if you had anything else to say about that, she said your thoughts. And so people could click there and type in more content. Of course, we can't see that information, but she can on the back end. You can too. And these are just simply, they're just stickers from the platform. So when you click the little smiley face at the top of your stories, that's where all the stickers are. Share your post for visibility. All right. So if you don't know who Jay Shetty is, you need to look him up because he's hilarious. This is his wife. She's actually hilarious. And he's just easy on the eyes, quite frankly. But She is always doing funny things. Her hair is never fixed. She's always in a sweatshirt and her sleepy clothes. And I just love it. And Jay Shetty has like 8 million followers. It is insane. And this right here is not polished. This is a reel that they made. Okay. Put it on their news feed, the reel, and then shared that reel back to their stories. Again, remember I told you to share your posts to your story so that it gets seen in both spots. Then, once it's in your story, which I'm about to teach you, you can save it to your highlights later on if it makes sense to do so. So go follow Jay Shetty. He's awesome. But this is just a random reel that they had shared to their stories, and I screenshotted it. Tag others. This is also Jay Shetty. They had some sort of there was some sort of holiday that just happened. I forget what it was, but they had a holiday and they obviously had a gathering, and he went through and took every single person that was there that had an Instagram account and he tagged them. And so tag other people in your stories, because now his wife, she got it on her feed. Once, if you're tagged in a story, you can share it to your story, and Instagram makes it super simple to do that. You're a lot more likely to get shared to stories by bigger companies than you are shared to their news feed. So I did pumpkins on the porch with Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum liked my post. I tagged them in it. They liked it, but they did not share it. Now, I had also put it in my stories and they shared my story. So the actual news, the post, right, on my news feed, they didn't like screenshot it or say, hey, can I have a picture of that? None of that. But they did share my story and they did comment on my post, but only because they saw it because I had tagged them. So tag others in your post. Look for opportunities to create stories that allow you to tag other people. For instance, you can say the 2 books that I'm reading right now, Atomic Habits and the 5 a.m. Club. And then you can tag Robin Sharma and I forget who wrote Atomic Habits, but he's a Atomic Hobbits. That's a whole new one. Let me write that down. Hobbits. That is going to be like a spoof. But Atomic Habits, he's a baseball player and I forget what his name is, but 2 great books. And if I posted about those in my stories and tagged them, who knows? They might share it to their stories. And not to beat that dead horse, but the whole reason you want them to share that to their stories, because guess what? All those people that only look at their stories are seeing your stuff. And they're like, ooh, they shared her stuff, so she must be a big damn deal. So I'm going to follow her too. And that's the way the rabbit hole works. And you want to be a stop on that rabbit hole trail, right? So lead the way with questions and engagement. This is absolutely brilliant. Again, Jay Shetty doesn't like, he's not real polished or anything, not even at all, but there's a method to his madness. He 8 million followers. He's obviously doing something right. But let me show you what he did. So I don't follow him because of what this is, but it says 8 rules of love, how to find it, keep it, and let it go. He's married, so I don't really know his, expertise on the subject matter, but whatever. The point is there was actually 4, but they didn't fit pretty on my screen here. So he took the letters LOVE from his book, which is very branded. You can see that in the bottom right hand corner of this one on the far right. And he made stories out of it. And again, he copied and pasted it on Canva to make this. He made it 4 times, actually 5 times, because there's one that's missing and then he had that. And in each one, he's asking questions that if you answer yes, then this book is for you. So one story, do you feel like you're falling for the wrong people? Are you feeling hopeless and finding love? Do you want to learn how to get comfortable with being alone? Seems like wah, but I promise you, this, figure out how this fits whatever the heck it is that you do and do a series of questions. Drag and drop that little sticker on there that says yes, no. type a little overlay question on it, and there you go. And then the final slide, if you answered yes, I recommend you read my newest book. That is knowing how to do stories. 8 rules of love, how to find it, keep it, and let it go. Now, the 8 rules of love, how to find it, keep it, and let it go. He made that with Canva or some other, graphic design app, because that is his proprietary font for that book. Instagram doesn't have that, but that if you answered yes, he put that in there after he put the graphic into stories. So the part that was not done with stories was the little book, the LOVE, the 8 rules of love, how to find it, keep it, and let it go. That part was standard. Okay. That was standard. He added the pre-order today, which is a website link. And yes, you can link to stuff in your stories, even if you don't have 10,000 followers. Very, very easy. It literally is blue, a blue little link, and it's one of the stickers. And once you drag and drop it, it'll ask you, what link do you want this to go to? That's when you put it in. You can then customize the text. So it might go to nextchaptersocial.com, but the text might say, join us 11/29 for level up your Instagram Canva training. So, it's amazing. These little stickers and baubles and whatever, very easy to do if you've already created these in Canva. And again, all he did was click the little plus sign and it duplicated it. That's all he did. That's all he did. He added the questions once they were in stories. So behind the scenes is the way that you build a connection with your audience. This is, if you don't already know her, she is the Instagram expert. Her name is Sue B. Zimmerman, and they call her Sue B. And she speaks all over the place, but she is Queen Bee, pun intended, when it comes to Instagram. She is the end all be all, amazing. I get a lot of my info and inspiration from her. I highly recommend you all follow her, Sue B. Zimmerman on Instagram. But she has a little poll, a little sticker, and obviously this picture is not great. It's not perfect. She didn't fix her necklace or whatever. She's doing something weird with her thumb. She's sweaty. Her face is red, but she put it in stories because, again, stories are about client keeping, and it's about being relatable. And her question says, can you relate? And yes, I can, actually. Well, I can relate to being sweaty. I can't relate to doing that to myself on purpose in an exercise class, but I probably need to do that. So anyways, it's inspirational. It's something that people can click on and give her engagement. And she didn't spend a lot of time on that. That probably took her maybe 7 seconds to post. What are highlights? All right. This is so good. Okay, this is where it gets really good. Highlights are key stories that you want to save forever that are saved by categories. So each highlight that you create is a new category of information. And the only thing that can go into highlights are stories. So do you remember when I said I make a story all day long, make stories about my day, doing this, doing that? There was a parade on Saturday, so I did stories all day long about the dang parade day and the mimosas and the candy and the marching band, all the things. Then later on that night, I took all those stories that had also saved to my camera roll and I made a reel. I then took that reel and I shared it to my story. Once it's in my story, I can save that story to a highlight, and the highlight could be called Rail District or Hometown, okay? Or Frisco. I could call it Frisco because that's my hometown. And so my story, my highlight then becomes really fun, key things that happen to me or things that I partake in and around my hometown of Frisco. And instead of saving every single one of those stories all day long as individual saved stories, I can save that one story that's the real, that's almost like the polished off version of it. And here's why. The, I should have looked this up, but I did not. I'm pretty sure that you can only have 100 saved stories per highlight. So if on parade day I took 15 parade day stories, 15, different stories that I posted, and I saved all 15 to the highlight, then I have burned 15 of my 100. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, knock on wood, I've got a long life to live here in Frisco, and I can't use a tenth of what I have available to me. So I'm gonna share that reel back to stories, and then put the reel as my highlight. That way, I've only taken one spot instead of 15. Hope that makes sense. Still all about this atomic habits. I'm really excited about that. The categories that you use are if you have a personal brand, meaning uh it's you, basically just you. Angeline and I, it's hard to say, and I don't know what she would say about this, but I feel like we have a personal brand because we're two friends. We are very actively involved. We're not behind the scenes kind of girls. We're not like a big brokerage or a plumbing company or whatever. We don't have a bunch of employees, right? So right now, I would say we're a personal brand. The categories that we use are things like um, frequently asked questions, get to know us, that kind of stuff. So on the next slides, the remaining slides, I'm going to show you about the categories that you should have and how to use those. The importance of your highlights is very important, is a key ingredient to how you choose your categories. So your highlights are how you speak to new clients, because remember I said that posts are client winning, stories are client keeping, highlights are also client winning. And here's why. When I go snoop out somebody's Instagram, I am wanting to find out information about how they operate, who they are, what kind of person they are, what kind of business owner they are. Are they fly by night? Do they have their crap together? Do they not? Whatever. So I will tend to look, first thing, I'll look at their highlights, because if their highlights are organized, right, then I can quickly find the information I'm looking for, like their tutorials, see how they teach. If it's somebody that I'm looking to be coached by, I want to see, their method, the way that they speak. Am I going to resonate with them? If they're very quiet and shy, I need someone that's going to, like, manhandle me and tell me what to do. So I am looking for personality and style in that. Frequently asked questions, policies and procedures, freebies, events they have coming up. I'm going to look at all of that. So the highlights are key stories that have been saved that new clients might want to know about. So to reverse engineer that, a lot of your stories need to keep in mind what you're going to eventually save to highlights. So you're going to cover all the bases, and it does give your account a lot of professionalism, because when you have highlights that are saved, it means that you've created stories. And if you've created stories, then you have a level of know-how with your account where you've taken care of the tree and the lights. Now you're adding the baubles and bows. If you're past that threshold and now you're adding baubles and bows to your Christmas tree, then you got a little bit more going on than just someone that just recently started an Instagram account from scratch. All right, I've got lots of screenshots for you. So you want to use your stories to educate your existing clients And by educating your existing clients, you can save those into categories that educate, new clients. Whole Foods does a really great job of this. And what's very interesting about this is I was looking for highlights that said FAQ, and I found Whole Foods because I thought, you know what, they're going to have some facts on there. They did not name it facts. What they did is they categorized it by produce. And the pears, that particular highlight is all the frequently asked questions about pears. What's the difference between an Asian pear and a Boss pear or whatever it's called? When are pears in season? How do you know when a pear is ripe? Why is this pear more expensive than that pear? Pear recipes. How to cut a pear, how to grow a pear, how to save the seeds from a pear, how to peel a pear. Frequently asked questions about pears. You got it. Go to Whole Foods right now. You can learn all kinds of stuff about fruit that you didn't even know you needed to know. So I find that, fascinating. Something else that I just find fascinating here is they're only following 7 people. And I did not bother to look at that when I was in their account. So when I get off the horn here, I'm going to go see who they're following. Very interested to know. So frequently asked questions does not have to be named FAQs. Like Whole Foods, it made sense because those are Whole Foods. Duh. So brilliant. They're so brilliant. Every time I look at this slide, I get it more, right? It's like a double entendre. Pears, apples, grapes, tomatoes, berries, they're Whole Foods, and it's frequently asked questions about all of them. Another category could be reviews, which means you need to share your clients' testimonies and reviews to your stories. You need to screenshot that and put it in your stories. You can put her face, I give you a review and you can put me on stories. But you need to put your customer reviews on stories because those people are seeing it, who are watching your stories. Then you need to be able to save them to your highlights so that new customers that come to stock your account before they actually, land on using you as using your services, they're going to want to see what other people have to say. And instead of having to go search the internet for it, you might as well just copy paste, put them in stories, save them to highlight. And you can see the purple one on the far right says reviews. And I mean, I haven't found a word that fits better than reviews. Customer testimonies gets cut off. So reviews is just fine. But that is your social proof about you and the team. So this is Next Chapter Social, and one of our highlights, and we are a new account, but we do have stories and we do have highlights. The NCS team. So about us, the little pink bubble. If you click that, it will take you to stories. And I made a bunch of stories one day all about me. She made a bunch of stories all about her the next day. And that night, we both made reels from all those stories and shared it to our feed. So when you do that, you're building your know, like, and trust factor with new clients and existing ones. Current listings. All right. So this is again for realtors, but not only current listings, but Cappy Macbeth, one, I think she's in this class this time around. She sells Cabby, CABI, and her name is CAPPIE, but she sells Cabby, and every single season there's a new capsule, a new set of clothes for that season. And so she could say current season. If someone has Young Living Oils, for instance, they always push thieves and everything thieves in back to school during August. And so you could say back to school. So whatever the season is, you could name it back to school. You could name it winter capsule, current season, current listings. You can erase highlights. They don't have to stay forever. It's just stories that you want to stay forever until you delete it. So you can delete highlights. And again, notice if I go back here, Whole Foods. Those are Whole Foods. The next one, Pivo. These are their brand colors, which I find odd because their actual circle is red, but whatever. You can see this is very branded, easy on the eyes. And then us, those are our brand colors as well, and also our fonts. And then Where Women Create, this is very female centric. The colors are very, feminine and soft. The words are easy to read. And I just love this one. They have 81,000 followers, so they're doing something right. But you your current listings for a realtor, this one particularly could be your current issue. Where Women Create is a magazine, so they have a newsletter, and you can see that the newsletter right here is their current newsletter. So if you want to read what their current newsletter is, they always put it in their stories and then save it to their highlights. It's a really good one. Podcast, their current podcast is right there. Current magazine is pretty cool. Visibility, and that helps a lot. So you want to be branded. The highlights allow a level of professionalism, and it just really caps off your page. So the Rail District, you've got the logo of the Rail District, it's navy and white, and then all of their highlights are navy and white. And when you go there, you really can see, just how professional it is. Entertainment services, event calendar. If I was going here, this is where I would go to see where all the events are. The different stores, the different places to eat, to be entertained. It's great. So to recap, stories last 24 hours and they speak to your existing followers. Stories are about client keeping. Once you have your clients, once they're already following your page, they are the ones that are going to be fed your stories at the top of their newsfeed. If somebody isn't following you already, then they're not going to see your stories unless they purposely go to your account and happen to see it on that day. But if people are already following you, then they will see you as a bubble at the top of their page. Highlights are just key stories that you want to save by categories in those bubbles underneath your profile. Okay, so this is that other class I was telling you about. It's just a virtual account that class that we have in the Learning Locker. And it's a Canva training for highlights, how to make your highlight and zhuzh up your curb appeal. The reason why I tell you about this is because in Social Club that starts December 1st, this class is in Social Club. So if you're a part of club, you get this class for free. It is a 1-hour class with a 30-minute follow-up Q&A. And we're literally teaching you how to create those Canva graphics for your highlights. So that is it. Let's go back. One thing I wanted to show you on this one right here. When you're in your Canva and you're creating these things, you can have some basic designs that you can use over and over and over again. You do not have to create something different every time you go to Canva. You can have like 3 or 4 designs that you love, change up the colors ever so slightly. You might use the pink from your brand and the black from your brand, but make it easy on yourself. These fancy ones do not have to be hard, but you do need a level of business in your stories, right? Because there are people seeing that. So be creative with it, ask questions, use the stickers. By all means, use that little link, because if you don't have 10,000 followers, it's the only place you can use a link within the platform other than your profile. So super important. And I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed class. And remember that stories last 24 hours. Just because you're not watching them doesn't mean that others aren't, or that others aren't either, or whatever. You know what I mean? So just do your stories. It's the baubles and the bows, makes you look more professional, and those highlights that save at the bottom let your audience know that you have stories to save. So you're an active account, and that's super, super important. All right. So until next time, I will see you in the next class. Bye.